You know, some players define an era, but very, very few become a true phenomenon. Today, we're talking about Ronaldo Nazário, a guy whose talent was so unreal, so out of this world, that people literally had to come up with a special title just for him.
And to really get what he was all about, you've got to start right there, with his nickname, O Fenomeno, the phenomenon. Look, this wasn't some marketing slogan. It was the only word that came close to describing what you were seeing on the field. It was like witnessing a force of nature that just broke all the rules of what a football player was supposed to be.
So where does a story like this even begin? For Ronaldo, it started the second he stepped on a professional pitch. The entire football world was about to be blindsided by a teenage hurricane, and they had no idea it was coming.
16. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how old he was when he made his pro debut for Cruzeiro in Brazil. I mean, think about what you were doing at 16. Probably worrying about exams. This kid was playing at the highest level in a country that is absolutely fanatical about football. It's just insane.
And it didn't take long for everybody to realize he was different. This wasn't just another talented kid. He was a new species of player. He had the explosive speed of a track star, the impossible dribbling skills of a magician, and the brute force of a heavyweight boxer. It was a combination that, frankly, nobody had ever seen before in one player.
And that incredible debut? That was just the warm-up act. All that raw talent was about to translate into an era of just complete and utter dominance. He started collecting trophies like they were going out of style.
I mean, just look at this career path. It's a guided tour of football royalty, from setting Europe on fire with Barcelona to becoming a god in Italy with Inter, and then, of course, joining the legendary Galacticos at Real Madrid. Every club was just another kingdom for him to conquer.
But his greatness wasn't just for his clubs. On the world stage, he reached the absolute pinnacle, twice, winning 2 FIFA World Cups with Brazil. Now, the first one in '94, he was just a kid along for the ride. But that second one, oh man, that one is the stuff of absolute legend.
And you're going to see that number 2 again, because that's also how many Ballon d'Or awards he won. You know, the trophy for the single best player on earth. Winning it twice, once in '97 and again in '02, pretty much ended any debate. He was the undisputed king. And when the pressure was highest, he was always at his best. 15 goals, that's his tally in World Cup tournaments. That puts him in the rarest of air, making him one of the most clutch goal scorers in the history of the beautiful game.
But here's the thing about legends. Their stories aren't just about success. They're defined by how they face disaster. And for Ronaldo, disaster didn't just knock on the door. It kicked it down in the most brutal way imaginable.
Right at the absolute summit of his powers, he suffered a series of knee injuries that were just devastating. We're not talking about minor tweaks here. These were career enders, the kind of injuries that made doctors, experts, and fans all say the same thing. It's over. We'll never see that player again.
And that was the question hanging over the entire sport. It just seemed impossible. The very things that made him a phenomenon, that speed, that explosiveness, it was all tied to his knees. How on earth could he come back from this?
The answer was a flat-out, resounding yes. But he didn't just recover. He clawed his way back from what everyone considered a career graveyard. His return wasn't just impressive. People literally described it as a miracle.
And the stage for his redemption, it couldn't have been scripted any better. The 2002 World Cup final. After all the pain, the surgeries, the doubt, there he was, leading Brazil into battle against the German football machine.
2. There's that number again. That's how many goals Ronaldo scored in that final. He single-handedly won the World Cup for his country, completing one of the most inspiring comeback stories in the history of any sport. The phenomena was back.
So after all of it, the triumphs, the tragedy, the unbelievable comeback, what is the lasting legacy of O Fenomeno?
It all boils down to this incredible set of skills he had. This toolkit was just unfair. The pace was so blistering that defenders looked like they were standing still. His dribbling was so good, so unstoppable, it was like the ball was physically attached to his foot. And his finishing? He could either blast it with terrifying power or place it with the precision of a surgeon. The man was a complete attacking weapon.
When he finally hung up his boots in 2011, his legacy was about so much more than just a packed trophy case. He fundamentally changed what it meant to be a striker. He wrote the blueprint for the modern forward. You had to be lightning fast.
You had to have incredible skill, and you had to be absolutely deadly in front of goal. So that brings us to the ultimate question, the one fans still argue about today. When you take that once-in-a-generation talent, combine it with that superhuman resilience, and top it off with all that glory, does all of that make him the most complete striker the game has ever seen? I'll let you be the judge of that.